Okay, we are recording. Good morning. This is the hardest part. You're such a good singer, honey. With not doing this at 7 a.m. anymore because it's 10 a.m. here, you guys. And like, okay, shh, my life is a mess at 10 a.m. Okay, because she's just like hasn't gone down for her second or for her first nap, and she's just a mess. But that's okay. Okay, we have to be quiet. Okay, watch your show. Be quiet. Thank you. Okay, so you guys, I had some crazy things happen this weekend. Sweetheart, do you want to lay down right here? Okay, here. So, I had some crazy things happen this weekend. A lot of things that kind of were meant to calm down, please. B, this isn't gonna work. A lot of things that were meant to derail me.
Okay, you can watch it on my phone.
Go, sweetheart. Sorry, guys. Just give me a sec.
Let's watch go.
No, you need to stop. Okay. You want me to go outside? Okay. Life in a trailer. You guys, we applied for a house. We applied for a house this weekend and we hear back tomorrow. So I am like praying so hard that we hopefully get into a trailer, because if I was in an office right now and the door was shut, she wouldn't even know where I went. But we have like 2 rooms in this trailer, so she knows where I am. Okay, I see everybody hopping on. Perfect. So I was on top of the world on Friday, okay? I had decided that I was going to ambassador. I still decided, but like I decided that I was going to ambassador. I decided that absolutely nothing was going to get in my way. I decided I was going to drop every single excuse that there was about living in a trailer and not being able to get all the work done, and that we need a house and like all of these things. I decided I dropped all of that. No more excuses. I was ready to go all in. Not that I wasn't working before, but I wasn't working with that purpose and passion. I wasn't excited, right? So on Friday, I was on top of the world. I signed 4 customers just for my coffee story. You guys, if you haven't heard me say this yet, on your coffee story, make sure that you're shouting from the rooftops this campaign. Losing weight to help hungry kids. Shout it. Talk about it in your video. Don't just do like what are they called? Like slides. Talk about it. Say, I'm losing weight. I'm helping the kids, or my customers are losing weight. We're helping the kids. We're feeding the kids and everything. I can't tell you how many people. I said swipe up type campaign. I did the same thing this morning if you guys needed an example. But oh my gosh, I have so many potentials that just want to, like, I say no commitment. Okay. Because if they get the premium pack plus adding on a pack of coffee, they don't have to like do the auto shipment commitments. Okay. So they can just order one time. Of course, we want them to order more, but that's like working for me so well right now. So on top of the world. Then that night I had several missed calls from like random numbers, not one specific number, but random numbers. Okay. Several missed calls. And I was like, what the heck? It was all from Salem, Oregon. That's my hometown. And I'm just like, that's weird, whatever. And I had a ton of voicemails, but listen, it was like 12 a.m. my time. And I was like, I'll deal with those tomorrow. Well, I woke up the next day. I didn't deal with them because I had just forgotten, and I was working my business, doing whatever I was doing. And then several hours later, calls kept coming in from numbers in Salem, and more voicemails. I had 10 voicemails. Okay. I had 10 voicemails on my phone. And I was like, what in the world? Like, I started to read, you know how on an iPhone you can start to read what they say. And I quickly figured out that it was my mother. And a quick backstory, if you guys don't know, about my mom. This time last year, I was doing Wake Up with Rochelle's, and my mom was actually doing really well. She was in an all-women shelter. She was clean and sober. She got to meet Huntley. I got to give back to this shelter that she was literally staying in. There was so many good things for her going on. A couple months went by, and she went back into the house that she had been in for the last 15 years. And it was very obvious that she had relapsed. It was very obvious that she like went under a rock and didn't call us, nothing. She resurfaced again on Christmas, and she called me to tell me that I don't know what made me answer the call. I didn't know it was her, but I answered it, and I was cooking dinner. I had my earbuds in, and I'll never forget this moment, because here I am. It's almost been 20 years since my mom has completely like been out of my life. I was 10. Sorry, I'm looking to turn off this TV here. Okay, so I was 10 years old when my mom started the drugs and alcohol, left our family, blah, blah, blah. And so it's almost been 20 years. And it's crazy to me because I still immediately, I don't know if any of you have these problems. I'm only sharing it. One, because I needed like a massive little venting sesh. Two, I know that there are people on here that, that have these same issues with their parents or have had in the past. And I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you about it in just a minute. So hang with me. I remember being immediately back into a little girl's mindset. Okay, I don't know if any of you have had a parent that has not really been your parent, you know, your whole life. And so you kind of had to be that parent for yourself. And then, oh, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me okay? Or is it cutting out? I'm good, Lisette? Okay. Okay, sorry, Kayla. So anyways, it's recording though, if you need to catch the replay. So I go back every single time that she reaches out to me. I go back to that little girl who just wants her mom and who just wants to do the right thing for her. And that's always been my biggest, that's my yellow that I have in me. It's kind of funny that, you know, talking to my team about this, I'm so red, yet I do have a yellow in me. And it's, I mean, she's my mother. What am I supposed to do? Right. And so she was calling on Christmas to tell me that at first she tried to act like everything was fine. And she's like, Merry Christmas. It's all good. Like everything's fine. And I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't sound fine. And she's like, yeah, well, I'm living in my car and I don't know what to do because I don't want to disappoint you, but I have to go back to Stewart's, which is the person she's been living with forever. Or I'm just going to freeze to death. Like I can't be out here. Like I can't do this. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know why you're calling me. Do what you need to do. Like, I don't have any part of this. Right. But what it does for me is bring me back into this moment. Like the phone call was done. She went back to her life and what she was going to do originally. Somehow she just needed to make sure her conscience was clean by talking to me. I don't know. But what it does every single time is mess me the F up, okay? It makes me think, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to fly my mom out to literally, these things have gone through my mind. I'm not kidding. I haven't actually voiced them, so I hope Brian doesn't hear them. But they've gone through my mind where I've literally been like, do I fly her out to Florida? Do I pay $25,000 and put her into a what's it called? You know, like a place that she'll get better. You guys know what I'm talking about. A treatment center. Do I put her up in this house where we have an extra room? Is that my responsibility? Do I do that? And let me tell you something, if you're watching this, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is not my responsibility. And I am okay with that. And some of you may be thinking, actually, maybe it is. I don't know. But if you don't know the entire story of my life, I promise you it is not the right thing. So getting back to what happened on Friday night, I had 10 voicemails. This is how I know my mom has fallen back into drugs. One of them was like super sweet. The next one was like absolutely horrific. The next one was really sweet. The next one was absolutely horrific. Like I owe her things. Like I'm supposed to be sending her money. How in the world have I not sent her money? She's freezing to death. She's living in her car. She's going to die. How am I not here for her? Where am I when she needs me? All of these things that I'm literally listening like I'm 10 years old. And Brian's listening with me and I'm bawling my eyes out. And he's like, let's talk. And I didn't want anything to do with him. I was like, no. And he's like, do you want to give her money? And I was like, no, stop. Like I was just so, don't talk to me right now. I called my dad. You guys, this is going to get really sad, and I might start crying, but I got through it. So, I called my dad and he didn't answer. Okay. Cause my dad is the only person the only person that can like talk me through these things because he's the only one that truly knows, right? Him and my brother. And my dad didn't answer. And immediately I said, I have to call my brother. And I can't. And thank God, Jesus heard me right then. And my dad started calling me back because I am telling you, I was on the flipping floor because I did not know what to do. I am all the way across the country. How do I help my mom? Do I help her? I need to speak to my dad. I need him to tell me, that everything's going to be okay and that I don't need to do anything and that this isn't my responsibility because I know all of those things. You guys, I know them. But I don't know if you guys have, this has to impact somebody. Drop a 1 if this is speaking to you, or maybe that you've gone through something like this in your life. That's the only reason I'm sharing it. I'm not trying to be, thank you, Kayla. I'm not trying to be like, let me just air out my dirty laundry. But I truly felt, oh, wow, there's a lot of ones. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I truly felt that the devil was straight up trying to take every single ounce of joy that I had, every single ounce of excitement for my business, every single ounce of grit that I had in me. And I kept thinking to myself, like, why now? Why now? Just yesterday, in my head that day, I was thinking, just yesterday, I made all these decisions that nothing was going to stop me. And then this hits me, you know? And so my dad finally calls back, and I'm just bawling my eyes out, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And ultimately, he tells me, absolutely not, no money. That is not what children are for. And if she truly does need the money, she'll figure it out and she'll find a way, because she's 53 years old, Rochelle. That really hit home with me. She's 53 years old and she's calling her daughter for money. You have to let it go. You have to block it. You have to tell Brian to delete the messages before you hear them. You have to not put yourself in that position anymore. And then he went into, and these may be things that you need to hear. And let me tell you, God placed my dad in my life. He didn't want children, you guys. He didn't want children. When he married my mom, it was literally like a stipulation. He did not want children. Okay, he says he's selfish in that way. He wanted to travel the world. He wanted to see all the things. He wanted to stay in the military. He did not want children. And it just so happened that he had two. And it just so happened that my mom left us. And it just so happened that he had to raise us, and he stepped up, and he was the best father that I've ever seen. Okay. And here he is saying literally every single word that I needed to hear, which was the silliest thing in the world. Because why would I need to hear the things that I'm about to say to you? You'll hear them. Why did I need to hear those things? It had nothing to do with me as a mother, but for some reason, I needed to hear everything that he was saying. So as I'm sitting here bawling my eyes out, why does she do this to me? I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Why does she just show up every time when everything's going good for me? She shows up and my whole life just turns upside down. And he said, I don't think any of that matters. I think you know what you need to do with that. And I think that you know that you need to set more boundaries and cut her out and not let her have your phone number, whether that's changing it or whatever, or deleting them. Because again, it's been 2 days and she still hasn't tried to call again, you guys. So she does this to me and then disappears for a very long time. So I'm just left broken, right? And then I don't hear from her anymore. So what my dad said was, I want you to go look in the mirror, and I want you to tell yourself that you are the most incredible mom, and that you have learned from the absolute worst example, and that you will never, ever do this to your child, and that you are seriously the best mother that I've ever seen. So my dad is telling me all of this stuff, and I'm sobbing. I'm literally sobbing, and Brian's rubbing my back. And I'm like, I didn't even know that I was questioning myself as a mother. I didn't even know that I was questioning myself, that if I came from that, who in the world am I? Who in the world am I? If I came from that, how am I ever going to be anything more than that? Right? That was my mindset. That immediately, the day before, I was on top of the world. Have any of you, drop a 2 if you've ever felt like that? You were on top of the world and then you just freaking slammed right on your ass. It hurts, guys. It hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. But we get up and we do it again. We do the day again. And we know that you can come in, baby. And we know that everything is going to be okay. And I'm telling you, I had to share this story with you guys, because there are going to be times in your business and in your life that literally knock you. Brian said, you're a turd. He's talking to that literally are going to knock you on your ass. Excuse my French, but for real, they're going to knock you down. But it's up to you to stay there or not stay there. And one thing that I keep hearing in my mind is Pam Souter. When we were in Costa Rica, I had just had a miscarriage. Okay. Literally a week before, I had just had a miscarriage. Okay. And so, you saying hi? You saying hi? Oh, Shauna, you have your picture with your daughter is up. I mean, I'm looking at you, but your like audio or whatever. And so she's like, hi. Anyways, Oh, no, she stops. Okay. So anyways, Pam Souter said, you know, she shared a story with me of her own, which I'm not going to share. But then she said, I want you to know something. When you go through something like this, you're allowed to feel it. You're allowed to be upset by it, but then you have to move on. You have to move on, and you don't live there anymore. You don't live in that moment. You don't live in that fear. You don't live in that hurt. You walk away and you move on from it. And so she kept saying, you don't stay there. You can't stay there. And it really helped me with my healing with that of like, okay, I can't stay here. I can't stay here. So no matter what is thrown my way, I've decided that I'm doing whatever it takes to get to ambassador. I decided that I'm going to be the best mom and wife ever. I decided that I am going to be the best version of myself. I decided that I'm going to be the best leader ever, so that when things like this happen, I can feel it. I can talk to you guys about it. I can tell you my story in hopes that it inspires somebody and helps you. And then it's time for me to move on. It's time for me to keep going. It's time for me to stop being in that moment. Okay. Excuse me, that was a lot longer of a story than I want it to be. So thank you guys for listening. Let me read the Self-Reliant Entrepreneur for today, January 20th. Truthful. No, actually, I'm going to read 19s because it was yesterday and it's called Unlimited Power. And for some reason that like stuck out to me. Hold on, baby. I'm going to read. Okay. So wait 1 second. Do you want to listen? Okay. Wait 1 second. Unlimited power. We can fix our eyes on perfection and make almost everything speed towards it. This is indeed a noble prerogative of our nature. Possessing this, it matters little what or where you are now, for we can conquer a better lot, and even be happier for starting from the lowest point. Of all the discoveries which men need to make, the most important at the present moment is that of the self-forming power treasured up in themselves, which the mind is extent as little as the savage apprehends the energy which the mind is created to exert on the material world. It transcends in importance, honey, I'm reading, all our power over outward nature. Ugh, that was hard to read. William Channing, Self-Culture, 1838. Honey, sit down, please. Okay, a belief in the connection among all living things. Do you want some blankets? Is that your deal? Yeah. Okay. There you go. Okay. A belief in the connection among all living things was at the core of transcendentalism. Don't make fun of me if I said that wrong. The belief might seem in conflict when juxtaposed with a guiding principle that individuals are at their best when they are self-reliant. However, Channing's reading might also suggest that it is the careful blending of these two ideas that unlocks a self-forming power. We are free to tap. Sweetheart, I'm reading. Can you listen? We are free to tap at any chosen moment, no matter where we find ourselves today. When we begin to see everything in an extension of ourselves, we can let go of the comparisons and accomplishments and fix our eyes on the perfection currently dammed up by your ego's need to complete rather than allow. Test this out by turning to social media and reading a few dozen posts. What's your gut reaction when you do this? Is it joy or is something less noble? Of course, it's the latter because we are trained to judge the thoughts of others as something separate from us, and they are not. What if instead you saw everything as a path to the realization of your goals, sending thoughts of peace, joy, and happiness toward things you might have previously deemed bad or wrong? From this point of view, you have access to unlimited power. The challenge question is, when was the last time you judged something or someone was wrong, or someone as wrong? How did it make you feel? Okay. So I love that. Because I think that we're human, right? And sweetheart, I know she's just really wanting to be the center of attention right now. That's okay. When was the last time that you you guys judge someone? I feel like it was probably this morning or yesterday for me. And no, it's not anybody on this call. I can't even think of a time because we just judge, right? We just automatically do it. We automatically think to ourselves, negative thoughts. We were talking last night on our diamond and above call. Yeah, Lisette says daily. It's so true. And it's funny because instead of me judging, a lot of the times it's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, I judge. Like that's a flaw. Everybody has it. It's awful. I try my best not to. But what's crazy is I actually have almost an even worse flaw of my fear of judgments by others. How many of you feel that? Like we were literally sitting in first class for the first time ever. I should have been like basking in all the glory. Brian was like, let me get a mimosa. Let's get the food. Let's get all the stuff. You know, he's just like living the life. And I'm sitting over here like, do you think they think that mommy and daddy paid for this for us? Like, do you think, like, do we look too young to be here? Like, are they mad that we have a kid in first class? Like, is that not okay? Is that a thing that we're not supposed to have? Like, is that frowned upon? You know, I'm thinking of all these things and Brian's like, would you just like enjoy it? You earned it. I'm like, but do they know that I earned it? Do they know that I earned it? Or do they think that we won a trip on first class because we look like bums right now? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just sitting there like, it's so true. I'm just sitting there like, oh man, why? And Brian's like, that comes down to you. Oh, you're going to go? Okay, bye. See ya. Oh, you're going to sing. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why? Brian goes, that comes down to your unworthiness. He's like, I don't know where that came from. I used to never have unworthiness, you guys. I'm telling you, like never. All of a sudden we started making paychecks big enough, both of us having $10,000 deposited into our account each month. And I was like, this is stupid. This is stupid. Nobody makes this amount of money. I've never even had this amount of money in savings, let alone coming into my account every single month. Like, this is ridiculous. I remember thinking negatively about it. I remember being like, I don't need it. Somebody take it. Like, I don't want it. And Brian was just sitting there like, I mean, I've always known I'm going to be a millionaire. And I'm like, since when? Like, how do you have that like confidence? How do you have this? And he'll tell you that to this day, I don't know how I'm getting there, but I'm going to be a millionaire someday. Like, and his mom and dad will laugh and be like, well, looks like you will be. Just marry Rochelle. Everything will be fine. No, I'm just kidding. He has big dreams and goals himself. And, it's just so exciting because it's funny that we have these fears. I was reading in my book last night. Cheese. That's a monitor, sweetheart, not a camera. But that's okay. Look at this. Cheese. Are you taking pictures? Everybody's watching you. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, I read in my book last night that she said she had a fear. Or she had a dream, She had a dream that God literally told her in her dream that she needs to stop having fear. Okay, so and I'll probably butcher it, but I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about it. So she has this dream where her family and her friend's family, like two families, go on this vacation. They're walking in to this parking garage, and something about it was like not good. They were like, oh my God, like it's overwhelmed with just like bad juju in here. Like, we need to walk out of here. So as they're walking out of here, they witness a crime. Okay. They witness somebody being killed. They witness this really heinous crime. Okay. And so these people, and again, this is a dream, you guys. So these people that committed the crime came and kidnapped both families. They put them down in the basement. It sounded like they were like super nice to them. It was kind of weird, but they kidnapped them. They put them both down in the basement, and then they became friends. Like over the years, like for, I don't even remember how many years they were down there. They became friends, and they were like friending their captors because that's just what they had to do. They thought maybe they would never get out of the situation. Right. And she said that one day she looked around and her friend's family had just stood up and walked out and left. And it looked like nobody even noticed. Nobody even cared. And that fear just gripped on her because she was like, well, if we were to walk out, they would surely notice and they'd come looking for us. But somehow they haven't noticed that the other family has left. Well, it had been so long that her and her husband actually had gotten pregnant. Okay. And so they had their third baby in captivity. And she heard God say in her dream, she said she knew that it was God, nothing that is born into captivity can flourish. Okay, so this whole horrible, awful dream was to tell her to stop fearing things, because thoughts that are born into captivity, thoughts that are born into fear cannot flourish. Okay, so she woke up from her dream and she was like, I hear you, Lord. Like, I've been living in fear. I've been living my whole life in fear of what others think of me, of how others judge me, of how others don't like what I do, maybe, or don't know what I do, don't understand what I do. Maybe they don't like who my husband is. Maybe they don't like how I raise my kids, whatever. We're living in fear, and we have to let that go, because nothing can grow there. Nothing can grow there. So I love that. I love that story. It was like, oh, it just, yeah, chills for sure. Okay. Okay, this one is called All Things. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. Philippians 4:13. That is my absolute favorite verse. And not in a favorite verse kind of way where it's like the only one that everybody knows kind of way. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my favorite verse just because it's well known. It's my favorite verse because it speaks to me on a deeper level. I constantly am doubting whether or not I can do something. I constantly am doubting whether or not I have the strength. I constantly am doubting myself on whether or not I'm good enough for it. And Jesus says we can do all things through him who gives us the strength. I love it. It's a wonderful feeling when we know we're capable of conquering whatever task lies before us. But sometimes we're given a task that seems beyond us, beyond our abilities. At those times, we must do our best, and our best may not seem good enough. During those times, it can feel like a spotlight is being shined on our weakest, most unattractive qualities. Believe it or not, God loves it when we find ourselves out of our league. If we're capable of doing a job, we get the credit when it's completed. But if a task goes beyond our abilities and we call on God to help us accomplish it, he gets the glory. He lives to give love and to receive glory. Okay, go tell daddy, baby. When we find ourselves in an impossible situation, we can smile, knowing he will show up whenever we call. The prayer is, Dear Father, thank you for the reminder that I can do all things, not through my own strength, but through Christ who strengthens me. Amen. And we only have like a minute left. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but you've heard me talk about this a million times on feeling like I can do it on my own, and not in a self-righteous way of like, oh, I got this. Like, I can do it without him. Like, it's cool. Like, I can do this. Not in that sense of way. Instead, it's more of in a sense of way where I'm like, I know you have other people. Like, I know you have other people that need you more than me right now. Like, I know that there are others out there that just really need you right now, God. So, like, I got my own crap. Like, I can deal with my own crap. You go deal with everybody else's. Like, that's my biggest thing that I constantly battle with. Like, little old me over here doesn't need your help. I got this. I've been doing it on my own since I was 10. The funny part is when I look back in my life all the way until I was 10 and even before, God was literally in my life every single step of the way, even when I didn't know him, even when I gave up on him, even when I thought that there's no effing God. No joke. This used to be me. I was so angry. I was such an angry person. There is no effing God out there that would make me go through the things that I've gone through. There is no God out there that would make my little brother have to go to prison. Guys, I've had these feelings. I've had these feelings. I've had this anger. I've had it all. But when you truly look back at them, wasn't he right there the whole time? My brother was facing 6.5 years in prison. How did he get 2? How did he get 2? Jesus, right? Like, every single thing that he was going through, Jesus wiped away. All the fears, all the terrified to leave his family, to, he had all these things going through his mind at that time, and Jesus walked with him through that whole thing. He found God again, because he used to know him when he was younger, but I didn't know that he really truly didn't know him as well when we were going through this. He found God while we were walking through it. At the very end of this, and I think I've shared this with you guys before, but I'll share it again because it's so powerful. At the very end of our trial with my brother, when we walked out, 11 out of 12 jurors found him not guilty, and he only got 2.5 years in a minimum prison. my dad, who I used to see, he'll tell you he was obsessed with church. He'll tell you he actually had a problem. Like back in the day, my dad's been through some stuff too. And he was just such an amazing man of faith. And when my dad says he was obsessed with the church, I found it funny because I was like, really? I found it that you just love Jesus. And I saw that man reading his Bible every single day. I saw that man go to church and take his kids to church every single Sunday when we were younger. All of that stopped after my mom left, you guys. And it stopped and because of the anger. It stopped because how could this happen, right? And so I'm telling you this because at the end of the trial, we had so many people praying for us. And we walked out and our lawyer started to cry. And he was like, I got to be honest with you. I never, ever thought like, and I'm embarrassed to admit it, but he's like, I did not think that we could get what we just got. Like that was a whole nother level. Like our lawyer was shocked. Okay. And my dad said, you know, what's funny is I haven't prayed in 20 years, but I've never prayed as much as I have in the last 5 days during this trial than I did in 20 years. He's saying in 20 years, he never said a prayer. And in 5 days, he made up for 20 years. He didn't sleep. He prayed. He fasted. He did everything that he knew what he needed to do in order for Jesus to show up. And he showed up. He showed up in our family. He showed up in our lives. And we can be angry and we can be upset for these stories that God's given us. But at the same time, it's the reason why I'm getting up speaking into you guys today is because my life is not perfect. And I'm the first one to tell you that. I will never be that girl. I picture it as like getting up on stage at conference. The reason why is because I used to look at these girls getting up on stage at conference and I would be like, oh my gosh, these girls have had perfect lives. I would judge, right? I'd be like, they have nothing wrong with them. No wonder they went ambassador in 7 days. Like, you know, they've never gone through anything. They've never gone through anything like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that's so negative. That's so awful. Right. And I was judging because I thought I couldn't do it because of what I've been through. And I am here to tell you, I am here to tell my team, I am here to tell every single person that ever sees me walk across that stage, that there are people other than me on that stage that have been broken, that have been through cancer, that have had their husbands go through cancer, that have had their kids go through cancer, that have had people die, that have had people leave, that have had all of these things that we don't see because we put them on a pedestal and we think we could never be them because we have too much damage. Well, here I am, like the poster child for damage, y'all. You can be on that stage. You can not only be on that stage, but you can make a lot of money with this business. And guess what? You're actually worthy of it. You're worthy of it. And I see that, but you have to see that. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys go because I've been preaching for a while now. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for listening to my stories. Let me look at the Megan says, I've been in gloves, so I haven't had the chance to comment. And this is how much I watch Frozen with Huntley. Immediately, I'm thinking of Elsa keeping her gloves on because she so that she's not magical. Like, what is she needs to stop watching that show. I can't deal. I keep having these crazy dreams too. Listen, that's God. That's God speaking to you. The book, You Are the Girl for the Job. Yep. That's the one I was talking about. Your story gives me chills. I needed this. You're amazing. Thank you so much, Misty. Yay. Okay, good. Well, I did record this. So if you think of anybody that you know in your life, maybe that's not even in the business, but anybody that my story would inspire, please send this to them. I'll have it uploaded at the end of the day, or like right after this. I meant at the end of the day. Right after this, I'm going to upload it. So send it to whoever you think, maybe even somebody on your team that might be struggling right now with anything like that. So I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing Monday, and I will talk to you tomorrow morning. Bye, guys.